Dov Yonatan. Wow, Dov Ben. Is that the first child named after Ben?
Susie, is that the first child named after Ben?
No.
Who else is named after Ben?
Elisheva's son.
So
Elisheva last.
they call him Ben?
No, Joe. You mean Ben in
Yeah.
English?
Is the first, is there's,
Nobody's named Ben.
is the, nobody has been named Ben before. He's the first one.
Wow, isn't that wonderful? Wow.
Yeah.
He's the third Joe.
But the third Dove, but Dove
Oh,
is, yeah, Jerry, one of Jerry's children, grandchildren was named Dove
After Ben also, right?
after Ben as well, correct.
Wonderful. Wow, wonderful. Many more.
Nice,
Many more.
nice.
Amen, amen.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Rachav Zion, Ahmed Aleph, 27. According to Shmuel, when there were three brothers, and two of the brothers were married to multiple wives, but two of the wives were sisters. If they gave a chlitza to one of those sisters, right? Normally, gentlemen, we know that if you give chlitza to one, let's say a guy had three wives, and they all fall to a brother, and the brother gives chlitza to one of the women, it breaks the zika to all of them. He doesn't have to give chlitza to all three women. But in this case, where two of the wives that fell were sisters, so he couldn't do yibum to those women. Therefore, the chlitza, if he gives it to one of those sisters, is a weakened chlitza, and it won't pater the other tsaros, and you'd have to give them individually chlitza themselves. If Shimon could do yibum, then the chlitza is kosher. But chalas Ruvain chlitza psula. But if Ruvain, who already had given, there was already a chlitza to one of the sisters, so you can't marry that sister. So it's a chlitza psula, and therefore wouldn't pater the tzara. So why did Shmuel say before that you give chlitza my echad choyletz lekulan? I am sois. It refers to the case where there are three women, and the middle woman gets an individual chlitza. More, what do you mean vakulan kamar? You refer to all the women. So kivin deruba gabe korile kulan. It's because two out of the three are called rov, so they call them all kulan. When the Shmuel require a chlitza, that's a perfectly good chlitza, meaning you have to be able to do yibum to the woman in order to make it a good chlitza, and therefore to pater the tzaras. Hanimila mifter tzarasa. Aval mifter nafsha patra. But the chlitza, psula, paters the woman you're giving chlitza to. That there's no argument. Okay. Guf, Amar Shmuel. So again, we have three brothers, and two of the brothers are married to sisters, and they have other wives. And the two brothers die, Reuven and Shimon, then the women fall to Levi. So then it depends. If Levi gave chlitza to one of the achayos, lo niftu tzaros, he can't do yibum to either of those sisters, right? Reuven was married to one of the sisters, Shimon was married to one of those sisters. Each one is achos zekukaso. We're going to assume that Shmuel holds zika. So therefore, it's as if he's married to both of them a little bit with zika. And therefore, if he lives with one of them, he's being pogeh in achos zikaso, which he can't do. So he can't fulfill either of the women with yibum. So therefore, the chlitza that he gives them is a weakened chlitza. Therefore, lo nifteru tzaros. However, if Levi went ahead and gave the chlitza to one of the other wives, nifteru achayos, because he could do yibum to them. They're not asur mishum any kind of erva, and therefore the chlitza is a chlitza ma'alya, And that chlitza would pater all the wives. Now, let's say he had given one of the women a get, and he also did mimer to one of the women. So cholatz lebalas haget. So once you give a get, in that, if a yavama falls to you and you give her a get, in essence, you've begun the rejection process. So you're not going to be able to miyabim her. If you're not going to be able to miyabim her, the chlitza you give her is a weakened chlitza. Therefore, the chlitza is loy nifter etzara and doesn't free the co-wife. On the other hand, if he gave the chlitza to the tzara, nifter a balas haget. The balas haget goes out without another chlitza because he's allowed to do yibum to the tzara. Similarly, if he had given mimer, cholatz lebalas ha-mimer, loy nifter etzara, the tzara doesn't go free with that chlitza because it's a chlitza psula. Psula in a sense that it doesn't work to free all the women. It works to free the woman he gave the chlitza to, but it's not a full-fledged chlitza. On the other hand, if he gave the chlitza l'tzara, nifter balas maimer. Now the Gemara questions this. How come if he gave chlitza to one of the sisters that the tzaras were in patered, why can't he do yibum to these sisters? Because you would be poigeya be'achos zekukoso. So the Gemara says, what do you mean? Cholatz l'tzaras nami loy lifter achayos. Therefore, if you gave chlitza to one of the tzaras, they also shouldn't pater the sisters. They are a tzara of an erva. So the Gemara answers, Ksavar Shmuel ein zika. There's no problem with that because Shmuel doesn't hold of zika. Frankly, Mavamar Shmuel yesh zika. So the Gemara is saying l'divrei omer ein zika ka'amar. Shmuel is referring to the person who doesn't hold of zika. So so if he doesn't hold zika, and there's no such thing as acho zikukaso, right? Two sisters falling, you could do, if there's no zika, each woman fell from a different home. One fell from Reuven, one fell from Shimon. If there's no zika connecting them, you could do yibum. If you could do yibum, the chlitza is a full-fledged chlitza. And therefore, why shouldn't the tzaras be patered with the chlitza to the sisters? Bishlam etzar de Rachel oti pater. The first sister that fell was Leah. The second sister was Rachel. So I understand if you gave chlitza to Rachel, it wouldn't pater the tzar. The kivin the cholatz lo Leah. We're talking about Leah fell first, and he gave chlitza to her. Then the sister fell. Giving chlitza is like marrying them. So it's like achos chalutzoso. It's like the sister of the woman you gave chlitza to. You couldn't do yibum. So I understand why the co-wife wouldn't get patered. But if Leah fell first, and he doesn't hold of zika, and you haven't done anything to this woman before, you could do yibum. Therefore, giving chlitza to Leah should pater the tzaras. So the Gemara answers, you're right. Ma'iloi nifteru tzaras nami dekama tzar de Rachel. You know whose chlitza doesn't pater the tzaras, the tzar of Rachel, but the tzaras of Leah are pater. Tzaras ka'amar. Tzaras is plural. And for the Gemara, tzaras to alma, we're talking about the concept of tzaros, but we're only referring to the tzaras of Leah. Freit the Gemara yachi cholatz l'tzaros. So we said then that if you gave chlitza to the co-wives, because you could do yibum to them, therefore they're full-fledged chlitza nifter chachoyos. Freit the Gemara vatzaros rachel mi miftera. But the second woman who fell, who was achois chalutzaso, Why would the chalitza work to pater those tsaras? Vatnan, Aser Adam b'tsaras kroivas chalutzasoi. A man cannot live with the co-wives of the relatives of the woman he gave chalitza to. And these women are exactly that. So if he can't live with them, the chalitza is a chalitza psula. So Shmuel Nami hischil v'lo hischil ka'amar. Meaning, hischil b'chayos. If he started the process of whatever he was doing with the sisters, lo yigmor batzaros. He can't do chalitza to the second of whoever he's going to do something to. Where do we see this? This not. Aser Adam b'tzaras kroivas chalutzasa. Two sisters, Rachel Leah. You give chalitza to Leah first, and then Rachel falls. Rachel is achos chalutzasa, and therefore the other co-wives that fall with Rachel, the person would be also to live with them as well. However, hischil batzaros, if he gave chalitza not to the sisters first, but to the co-wives first, then yigmor af b'achayos, and he can do whatever he wants to the achayos. This not muter adam bekroivas tsaras chalutzaso. A person is allowed to marry the relatives of the co-wife of the woman he gave chalitza to. So that would not be a problem. Now, Ravash, this we explained Shmuel so far with him not holding Zika. However, Ravashi, who is the last of the Amoraim, didn't like that. He wants to resolve the problem with Shmuel holding Yesh Zika. Ravashi Amar Lo Elam Kidikar. However, Mishum Delo Alima Zika L'Shavi L'Tzar Kerva. The Zika is not enough to make the Tzara like a Mamish and Erva. And therefore, you're allowed to miyabim her. And therefore, the chalitza to her would pater the other wives. That's what Ravashi learns. Tali kavosid Ravashi. Cholat lachayos lo nifchu tzaros. If in this case, the two sisters with multiple co-wives fell, and the brother gave chalitza to one of the sisters, he'd have to give chalitza to each and every tzara. However, if he gave the original chalitza l'tzaros niftu achayos, because he would have been able to miyabim the tzar. My time, lav mishum k'sorva yesh zika, v'lo alima zika l'shavi la'tzara ke'erva. The zika is not enough to make the tzara ke'erva. Am Rav Abba bar Mamal, hamani beishamai. Rav Abba says, what do you mean? This is shita beishamai. This is not beishamai matir not tzaras lachim. In our first mission of the Masechta, where we learned that the tzaras of an erva are potter, beishamai disagreed. Beishamai says you can marry the tzaras. So iachi yivu minami tisyabim. So why is it only chalitza? According to Beis Shammai, it should be yibum. So Kraviyach Benuri Damar boy u'nesakil and letzarish yucholtzos v'lomis yamos. Let's make a takana for the co-wives that they should only get chalitza, and therefore we won't have a machlokas Beis Shammai Beis Hillel, because if you marry one of them, then there'll be a machlokas. Maybe the child is a mamzer. They never paskin like Rav Yechon Benuri. No, they made the takana.
Ernie,
Yes.
this would only work before the takana of that you're not allowed to marry you're not allowed to marry two wives. You're not allowed to have them.
Yeah,
In other words, it would only work before Rabbeinu Gershon. After Rabbeinu Gershon, none of this would work.
Well, it wouldn't apply because a person wouldn't have two wives, so there's no worry about it. Sorry.
But Rabbeinu Gershon only issued. He said, if you take a wife, but this is a halacha. In other words, the halacha. In other words, what takes precedence? That the issue of Rabbeinu Gershon, or the fact that the Torah tells you that you're allowed to take these wives. In other words, the tzora.
The Takon of Rabbeinu Gershom takes precedence. The rabbi will
How
not
would
give.
how would the Takon of Rabbeinu Gershon override a halacha doraisa?
We have many examples where it overrides Doraisa. When the Chachamim tell us, B'Sheva al Taisa, don't take the shofar on Rosh Hashanah that falls on Shabbos. Or don't take the lulav. In fact, the halacha is, there's only one day we're taking the lulav as Doraisa. On day 2, it's already Drabanan. Yet when Sukkot falls on Shabbos, the Rabbanan tell you, don't perform mitzvah saseh. So the Chachamim have the power, B'Sheva al Taisa. They don't have the power to go to a lav and
but
do it.
this is not really an issue for him.
No.
It's a mitzvah. The mitzvah, you can't take over a mitzvah. In other words, the Rabbanan made a whole takona because they changed the mitzvah. Here, you can't change a mitzvah of marrying the tzora.
Hang on. The cases of the tzara will never occur after Rabbeinu Gershom lived in the year 1000, 500 years after the Gemara was closed. He said that Ashkenazi men can only marry one wife, period. So Reuven and Shimon are brothers. Reuven can only have one wife. He dies. Let's say married Shimon's daughter. So there is no din of tzara anymore because there's no co-wife of Reuven. So Rabbeinu Gershom didn't do anything. It's just, if in the time of the Gemara, if a man had multiple wives, then we had to deal with these tzaras. There's no mitzvah, right, to have multiple wives if you had a rishus to do so.
Was there a different halacha for the Sephardi?
Yeah, because Rabbeinu Gershom was only for Ashkenazic Jews. They took.
Okay.
Eli Marciano told us that his grandfather had 2 wives. You don't remember?
No, but I'm asking the fi halacha. So the fi halacha, this in other words, Beit Shammai would work for them.
Beit Shammai matir the tzara, that if
Right.
if Reuven was married to Shimon's daughter, and Reuven had another wife, and
Right.
Reuven died,
Then
so
he could
Beis Hillel says that
he
the
could do
co-wife
yibum.
is potter from yibum, potter of chlitza. According to Beit Shammai, you can be miyabim. But Rav Yochanan ben Nuri said that even under Beit Shammai they were masakin only do chlitza. But that, so therefore Rabbeinu Gershom doesn't play a role here.
Okay.
It doesn't play a role. It points out to us that these cases of tzara don't appear for us. It might have appeared over the last 1,000 years in Sephardic families,
Right.
because there they had multiple wives.
Right.
We don't paskin like Beis Shammai. We paskin like Beis Hillel, that the tzaras there is no yibum, there is no chlitza by the tzaras.
Okay.
Okay. Iboilahu. So we mentioned this issue that if a woman falls to one of the brothers and he gives her a get, you're not supposed to give a get, you're supposed to do chlitza. He gave her a get, or he gave her mimer, right? So we said, balas haget ubalas mimer, ezo mehen koidemes. Now, you're now going to you can't do yibum, because you could do mim. Now it's a case where you have to give chlitza. And once, because remember, to the woman he gave a get to, he can't be miyabim her. So the chlitza to her would be a chlitza psula. So we want to know, do we say balas haget adifa mishum da'askel bo b'chlitza? Since he started a rejection process through get, therefore he should complete the chlitza to her. Since Mimer brought her closer to having bia, maybe the chlitza will be a strong chlitza. On Ravashi Toshma, Umeira Gamliel sheyesh get achar Mimer, u'Mimer achar get. Later on, the Gemara is going to bring a Mishnah that there is no get after get. Means the first get has a chalois, and therefore all the dinim of get, she's a grusha and all of that would apply to her. But if then then you give another get, that second get doesn't have any action. Or he gave a get to two of the women. Does the second get have any chalois? So Rabbi Gamliel says, yesh get achar maimer, umaimer achar get. There is a get after maimer. We'll see the get sort of wipes away the kiddushin. And there is maimer after get. Now, get adif, if...
I'm bothered by the fact that maimer is like you married the woman already.
Like you gave her kiddushin. So
Right.
the get, then if you give her a get afterwards, you're wiping that away.
How can you negate kiddushin over here?
In fact, we negate kiddushin all the time with get. Let's say,
But he gave her a get before, and then he gave.
No. We're talking about mimer followed by get. Not
okay.
There is no get here. Here he gave her mimer, then he gave. In fact, we're going to learn that if you give mimer, you must, if you want to get rid of her now, you must give her a get and then chlitza, because the get doesn't do anything to the zika, but the get will work for the mimer, and chlitza will not work for the mimer. Think of mimer as kiddushin. How do you get rid of kiddushin? Through a get. So get actually will work after mimer. Now, we go back to our original question. Who is it better to give chlitza to the balas get or the balas mimer? Get adif, lolani mimer basrei. Then the mimer shouldn't work afterwards. Vi mimer adif, lolani get basrei. Elalav shmina ki adadi ninu. They're equal. They're considered equal. And in Shema Mina, there is no kedima labalas get or labalas mimer. You could give chlitza to the woman you gave a get to, or the woman you gave a mimer to, either one. There's no kedima. And the Shulchan Aruch says, if in front of the man two Yevamos who fell from Ruvain, and he gave to one of the women he gave a get, to the other woman he gave mimer, he can give chlitza to either one, and the chlitza will work for both of them. Amar Rav Amarav, Shtei achayos Yevomis shenaflu l'fei yom echad. Reuven and Shimon married two sisters, and there's Levi. Reuven and Shimon die. The two sisters fall to Levi. Choletz l'rishoyna. Now, we're talking about now that they died not at the same time. They died sequentially. So Reuven's wife died, and then Shimon's wife died. Now, at the time that Reuven's wife died, there was only one woman in front of Levi. There's no two sisters. So he could have been miyabim her fully. So therefore, cholatz l'rishoyna, but he didn't. He didn't miyabim her. He didn't do it. Then quickly Shimon died. So the din is, since he could have done yibum to the rishoyna, when he gives chlitza to the rishoyna, hutra, they both go free. However, cholatz l'shniya, hutra. Well, no. He gives chlitza to the first one, she goes free. Then I guess Shimon dies, and he gives chlitza to the second, hutra. Also, she goes free. Or even if Shimon died before, I guess it works. It works sequentially like that. But and Mesa Rishona, if all of a sudden the first wife dies, mutter b'shniya, so he can marry the second one, because there is no, for example, if you're married to a woman, you're not allowed to live with her sister. Now, if the wife dies, you can marry your sister. It's the same thing here. The sister died, so he's allowed to marry the other woman. Certainly, if the second one died, it's for your mutter to the first one. Why? When she originally fell, she was mutter. Then, when the second one fell, she became osir. Now the woman died. She goes back to her original heter. However, that's a Tanakama. Rav Yochanan Amar, Mesa Shnia, if the second wife died, remember the first wife fell, was mutter. Second wife fell, now it's usher, because there's two sisters. But now the second one dies. So then mutter b'rishona, she was always beheter. Oh, aval mesa rishona usher b'shnia. Even though the sister has died, and normally you can marry your wife's sister after chas v'shalom, the wife's death. Here the shnia remains prohibited. Let's analyze that.
Hold on a second.
Because
Okay.
when the shnia fell, remember the first one fell, no problem with the brother with the first one. Now the second one fell. Now he can't live with either of them because it's achos zikukoso. And now the first woman dies, she remains b'isser forever. Because the shas nefila, she was usher, she remains b'usher even after the sister dies. My time.
What, you can go lemafreya here?
It's not lemafreya. It's not lemafreya.
It's lemafreya. You're saying that the second one.
In the Rachel, Reuven dies, Rachel falls to Levi. Levi could have been miyabim her if he wanted, but Shimon now dies. And remember, Reuven and Shimon married to sisters. Now there's two sisters in front of Levi. Shimon can't be miyabim either of them. And now the first one dies. So he's not allowed to marry the second. Even though normally you can marry your wife's sister after your wife's death, in this case, the second sister was prohibited from the first moment he ever met her. And therefore it's not removed. It remains as like Eishes Ach with children. And it's never revealed. Now remember, Walter, Reuven dies, the wife falls. She's permitted. Then Shimon dies, the second wife falls, they're both usher. Now the second wife dies. Remember, the first one was permitted when she fell. So now she's choizer lehetera rishon. And that's why he can marry her when the women die in that order. The second one dies, he's allowed to marry the first. The first one dies, he can't marry the second because he never saw the second in a period of heter. That's what we're learning from this Gemara. Any of these women who at the time that she fell, I can't have bia with her, it's like the wife of a brother who has children, who it's her erva, vasura. Okay. Does Rav not hold of this? I'll show you that Rav holds. How could he tell me I'm a Rav, I'm not like Rav Yochanan? I'll show you Rav says this for I'm a Rav. Kol isha she'enani korba b'shas tefila yavama yavo ala arei keshes achsheyesh labanim vasura. How can Rav argue with Rav Yochanan regarding this? And for the Gemara, hanemili heiche de koi ba'apa isra akos isha doraisa. Yeah, that's when there's mamish an isra akos isha doraisa. For example, let's say Reuven is married to Shimon's wife's sister, right? And Reuven dies. And the woman falls to Shimon, who's married already to that woman's sister. So that woman remains usher forever, no matter what, because that's an isra erva minat Torah. Aval hacha, here it's only zika de rabbanani. Why couldn't he marry these two sisters? Because of this rabbinic zika. That's not midaraisa. So Rav doesn't hold that she remains usher forever. So it's machlekes Rav and Rav Yochanan. It's a fantastic sugi here. Eighth for Rav Yossi bar Chanil Rav Yochanan. So Rav Yossi on Rav Yochanan's concept here raises the following kasha. Arba achin, 4 brothers. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda. Shnai mem nesuin shtei achayos. Reuven and Shimon are married to 2 sisters. And then Umesu and Nesuin achayos. Reuven and Shimon die. The 2 sisters fall to Levi and Yehuda. Harei elu choltzos v'lo misyabmois. So you can't do yibum because it's achos ukukoso. They don't go out free because it's not it's only Erev Midrabanon. So they get Chlitza. Freit the Gemara, if Rav Yochanan is correct, Biamai. Leiku Chad Minayu Lachlatzel Lishniya. Let one of the brothers do Chlitza to the second woman who fell. V'tehevi Rishon Lagabi Idich, and then the first wife will be Lagabi, the other brother, Kiyavama Shohutra, right? When the first woman fell, she was mutter. It's only after the second woman fell that it became usher. But now that the other brother gave Chlitza, got rid of the Zika, Chazer V'hutter Tachzot Rishon. We should use the same svara that the first woman now should be mutter to have Yibum, and Levi should be able to do Yibum with her. Amar Le, Achayos En Yodeh Mishonon. You know what? I have a problem with this whole Mishnah and a Girsa because I don't really have an explanation of this Mishnah based on what we just said. So, V'lei Malei, why didn't he answer simply that when it says Choltsois, Nami, it means Diktoni Choletzes Chada. It didn't mean both women have to get Chlitza. In a Chanami, the second wife that falls, nobody can be miyabim her because of Achaz Kukoso. So it's really only one of them get Chlitza, but the other you could have Yibum. And why did they use the word Choltzos? That means Choletzes Chada. Choltzos Ktani, plural. Like we answered before. The word choltza is like the word fish. Like we're talking about chlitza in general, but not referring to two different women. What do you mean? Elu ktani. Elu refers to two women. The lema, why don't we say the choltza l'rishona bereisha? Because we're talking about a case where he gave chlitza to the first one. So there's no more heter to the shniya. So choltzos lechatchila ktani, which means you can give chlitza to either one you want. So we're back to the kasha. Okay, we're gonna have to break away in this terrific sugya and pick it up tomorrow. It's very, 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 very good sugya.